into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Happy Monday, everyone, and you are tuning into AfterBuzzTV.com or our YouTube channel. This is the Amazing Race After Show for Season 26, Episode 2. I've got the smartest dude. I'm your host, James Wallington, and with me across the table is...
Hey guys, I'm Jessica Carroll, and unfortunately, our third co-host couldn't make it today. Justin, we're missing you, but we're giving you a shout-out.
Big shout-out.
He'll be back next week.
Yes, and I don't know if you guys follow Jessica on Twitter, but I hope you are by now. She's been tweeting why we are delayed. I had a little spill. I was a little too excited about today's show, and I spilled my tea all over the table.
Yes, a little bit of a party foul, but we're ready to rock this after show.
Yes, we are. It was a great episode overall. What did you think?
It was a great episode. I loved this episode. Loved the challenges, the detour, all of it.
Yeah, and I tried to get Jeff and Lyda to call in to do a little interview with us. Unfortunately, I never heard back from the contact people that I was given. So I printed off their interview that they did for CBS.com. And one of the questions that I know a lot of fans have had are you guys upset that you were U-turned on the first leg, which ultimately ended up getting you guys eliminated? And their answer was no, we were not upset. We said, oh crap, but we would have done the same thing if we were Mike and Rochelle. So for everyone out there who is wondering what their thoughts were on the U-turn, there you have it. If you want to read the rest of their interview, check out CBS.com and you'll see 7 things that you didn't know about the first leg and their thoughts on it.
You know, I think that overall, and even reading that interview, they had a great attitude about being the first one off this season. You know, It's always hard being that team that gets let go episode 1. You know, it's kind of, that's probably the most difficult.
Well, it's like you apply for a show and you go through the whole process of filling out paperwork, making all the audition tapes. You know, I've been there, so I know what it's like. And then you go to LA to meet with the producers and the network, and you're so close that you can taste it. And then once you get that initial phone call that you're going to be going on this crazy adventure, the adrenaline starts going. You start preparing for it by packing, working out, whatever you think you have to do to prepare. And then you get on the show, and the first thought you have is, I don't want to be the first team eliminated.
I know.
I mean, a second, it's fine, whatever, I'll get over it. But if I'm not going to win, I don't want to be the first one to go home.
I know. I always try to put my shoes in my feet in their shoes, and it's just hard. But once again, like I said, they had a great attitude about it. At least they made it on the show. That's like one of my goals, is just get on Amazing Race, and they did. So I'm just proud of them. And, you know, you can just tell they've known each other for 20 years. They're going to stay together.
Absolutely.
They're adorable.
They are adorable, and they had a great run on the first leg. So let's dive right into episode 2. I got the smartest dude. Teams, you know, of course, ended in Tokyo, Japan. And at the start of this leg, we're told that they would be traveling by bullet train to Nagano. The route info said travel by bullet train to Nagano, where they hosted the 1998 Winter Olympics, and make their way to Namatishiro Castle for their next clue. Of course, leaving in first place are Jelani and Jenny at 5:30 a.m., Jeff and Jackie at 5:33 a.m. and Laura and Tyler at 5:45 a.m. And because they were the first 3 teams to leave, they were the first 3 to get on a bullet train.
Yes, and all 3 of those teams are the blind
date
dates.
couples.
Yeah, so I think that's always cool. And we even got a little sneak peek of, a lot of them said that it's really hard to be on a date and be in that date mode when you're still fighting to win Amazing Race and you're trying to think of strategies. So it's kind of interesting to see that at first we saw a lot of them saying, you know, this could be like my soulmate and I could find love. And now they're kind of realizing that they have to really focus on the race and learn from each other and learn who each other are by just racing and not necessarily like asking questions and really trying to be in that date mode.
Right.
They still have to be in like the strategy win Amazing Race mode.
Which is what we heard Team SoCal, Tyler and Laura say. Laura said, right now we are just concentrating on the race, keeping our focus there, and it's just so much going on with the strategies and stuff that you don't really focus on the blind date aspect.
Right.
So I think it's working to their favor. They seem like they're really compatible. They communicate well. They keep each other's spirits up. So
Yeah.
I think Tyler and Laura are off to a great start. And also with the legal team, Jelani and Jenny, they also said that we're just going to continue to keep it positive. We're connecting really well. And we make awesome teammates. And I think all the viewers at home could totally agree with them in that sense.
Yeah.
They do make great teammates, and they're kicking some serious butt.
And same with Jackie and Jeff. I mean, when I first watched their interview about who they were, at first I didn't really think they would get along very well. But they are bonding so well. You can tell they actually really like each other. And so I think that they're going to do really well. And you know, the bullet train actually kind of touched me a little bit because I actually had been on a bullet train in China with my dad before.
Really?
And the bullet train is so cool. I wish they actually showed a little bit more of it because that thing goes so fast. It's beautiful inside. Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
I would have loved it. I think it would have been a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. We forgot to talk about, I just realized we were just so excited, like we said, about to talk about this episode. The teams had to stay the night in that hotel.
Oh my gosh.
Was it really like a hotel? It looked like just like a
It was
little
like an
computer
office
cubicle,
space.
sleep on a couch with a computer or shared space.
I thought it was hilarious because these two people have no idea, who each other are, and they're freaking sleeping in like a little cubicle.
Right.
I thought that was so funny. What did you think?
I loved it. I definitely think it's part of the Amazing Race experience. You're not going to stay in, 5-star accommodations.
Right.
So, yeah, I loved it. I think I would have been a little uncomfortable because, being 6'2", I don't think I would have been able to fit comfortably. But it seems like the teams had positive spirits overall and made the most of their experience.
Are you someone who can sleep anywhere, or do you need...
That's a good question. I feel like for the most part I can sleep anywhere, but I would have to get really situated first. But there's some big dudes on the race right now that seemed like they didn't have any problems. So I'm sure I would have fallen asleep right away. How would you have done?
Oh my gosh, I'm someone, I can sleep anywhere. I could sleep on this table in a little ball. Sleeping is no problem for me. I fall asleep so fast, so easy. I could be in the middle of a concert and fall asleep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Seriously.
Well, moving back to the teams leaving at the mat, we have the 4th place team, Allie and Steve, leaving at 6:14 a.m. And they were the only team to be on the second bullet train to Nagano. On the 3rd train, in 5th place, Harley and Jonathan leaving at 6:52 a.m. Bergen and Kurt at 7:10 a.m. and Mike and Rochelle at 7:15 a.m. All those 3 teams were on the 3rd train to Nagano. On the 4th train to Nagano, we have Haley and Blair leaving at 7:33 a.m. and Matt and Ashley at 7:36 a.m. And here's the funny part about Libby and CJ. They are the last team to leave the mat. I don't even think I wrote down the time because it was too funny. It was just too funny overall, laughing at the fact that they had what I thought was the funniest hashtag I've seen so far on the show, selfie fail.
Selfie fail.
They were too busy using the little selfie cam, and they missed their train.
They missed the train.
What in the world were they thinking?
But that keeps going back to, I just don't think their head is really in the game. You can tell they're having fun, though. I mean, that couple is having so much fun on the race. They're giggling and laughing and just, enjoying it. But I don't think their head is really in it to win the $1 million.
Right.
But, I mean, yikes.
Libby's head is in it for the wedding.
Yeah.
She wants a ring around that finger.
Oh my gosh, I would have killed myself if we missed a train because I was taking a selfie.
Right. Oh my gosh. I would have broken the selfie cam. I would have thrown it into the tracks and said, no, I'm not going to go around the world with this anymore because it's too much of a distraction. First world problems right there for you.
Right?
Another team that stuck out to me before they got onto the bullet train was Team Blonde Date. We hear Bergen say, I don't normally date guys who look like me. And I would agree. I mean, it's kind of weird to date your twin. I think he made a good point.
It is. And they have the exact same hair. They
hair.
pointed it out. They do have the exact same hair. And so I agree. They do look a lot alike.
And then we have Kurt, who said that he's actually more focused on the blind date aspect of this race because he's actually never been in a relationship before. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how their dynamic continues to play out as the race progresses because I feel like Bergen's in it he's in it to win it.
Yeah.
And Kurt, so far what we've seen is I haven't been in a relationship, so the dating aspect of this is more exciting for me, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But again, you have a teammate. You're racing for $1 million. So it could either help them or hurt them.
Right. You don't want the dating aspect to take over the race.
Right. Then we have Haley and Blair. Blair states that once we start climbing up the ranks, he believes that the interpersonal relationship will start to kick in. And when I heard that little soundbite of them saying, once we start climbing up the ranks, I feel like they are like the underdog team right now.
Yeah.
That will start to sneak their way up to the top and will surprise
Really?
everybody. Yeah, I do. You know, to jump ahead really quick, I know the preview showed them kind of struggling next week's episode, but I think they just want us to think that they're not going to do really well. But I think with that little clip alone, it would be interesting to see this like underdog team that doesn't really seem to be clicking, but they're having fun.
Right.
Make their way to the top of the pack.
Yeah. And even the couples that were already dating, they said that the blind couples actually might be doing a little bit better because they're not bringing up their emotional, and they're not emotionally arguing.
And they don't know how to push each other's buttons.
Right. So they're just trying to be on their good side, get along, get through the task.
Absolutely. And that's what the hairstylist said. They actually said that the blind date couples are a huge threat in this race. And I think, would have to agree.
Yeah. So far, they really are. Yeah.
So once the teams get to Nagano, they get their first roadblock of this season. Clue is, who can think outside of the box? Right away, when you read that clue, what do you think you would have done? Would you have done it, or would you pass it off to your teammate?
Okay, think outside the box. I don't know. I mean, once I figured out what it was, I would have been 100% in, because I actually brought one of these Japanese cubes.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So my boyfriend gets one of these every single Christmas from his grandma, and I always try to figure them out, and I've never failed. So I would have been so good at this challenge.
You would have dominated.
Dominated. This is like totally up my alley. If I read the clue and I decided not to do it, I would have been pissed at myself.
Yeah.
But these things are so fun, and they are tricky. I mean, it takes you a little while. The trick is just to use the tip of your fingers, because if you're pushing down in one spot, you can prevent like a cube from shifting. Yeah.
Wow.
So you have to look for the cracks.
Interesting. Well, since she does have the Japanese puzzle box out, that leads us to the rest of our roadblock. One team member had to solve a traditional Japanese puzzle box that contained a password that they would need to say to the guards outside for their next clue. And actually, one of the clues contained a date night ticket,
yes,
which is also a cute little element, I think, that they throw into the race. So I think it's awesome that you brought that. It's a great visual for all our viewers out there. I think it's really cool that, you've done one of these before and you can relate to the racers. Did you just open it?
So this one you have to pull down, and then you can slide it out. This was the easy one.
But still,
a lot of them have like multiple. It's really funny. But it's so cool. I just love it. And even the decorations. Anyways, just want to bring it in.
How fun. Thanks for bringing that in, Jess.
I'm a little obsessed.
So we have Jeff, Tyler, Jelani, Allie, Mike, Harley, Bergen, Ashley, Haley, and Libby all chose to do the roadblock. Of course, they're not all there at the same time doing the roadblock. I'm just kind of throwing all the names out there who did do the roadblock.
Yeah.
But we did see Jeff, Tyler, and Jelani. They're the first three guys to get to the roadblock and start completing it. Then we have Allie kind of creep in there. So first one to leave was Tyler.
Yeah.
The second one to leave was Jelani. And Jeff kind of fell back a little bit because once Allie showed up, they were the third team to leave. And that kind of left Jeff a little frazzled.
Yeah.
He was a little like, I don't know how to do this thing.
And actually, this roadblock brought up a really good argument, saying that, okay, so these partners don't know themselves very well, don't know each other very well. And especially with Kurt and Bergen, Kurt was saying how he wanted to, motivate his partner, but he didn't want to be too much. Like, say, like, keep going, babe, like, you got this. He just kind of wanted to be more in silent.
Right.
You as a teammate, would you want your other partner to be a little more vocal, encouraging you all the time, or more silent so you can focus?
If I was in a blind date situation, and if I was in Bergen's shoes, I would want my teammate to cheer me on. And I don't blame, and I'll say if I was in Kurt's shoes rooting on for my blind date teammates, I would try to push it a little bit and be like, all right, you got this. Like, keep up the great work just to see how they handle it. Because if you're not going to, like, try to put yourself out there and learn what pushes or what hurts your teammate, then you're not going to really grow and do well. So I think if Kurt would have just taken that
little extra
leap of faith there and would have motivated Bergen a little bit, you never know what it could have turned into. So, yeah, you're right. All the teams that were there, Harley and Jonathan, and I think it was Mike and Rochelle, they were having their, partners say, hey, keep it up, babe. You're doing great. And then it cut to Kurt just, like, arms crossed, standing there. And Bergen was like, all the teams were like, you got it, babe. And I'm like, where's mine?
Yeah, exactly. Me personally, I would want encouragement, but not to the extreme of like always talking, because for me, I need silence to focus. But I also, obviously, everyone likes that motivation.
Of course.
So I would want like the happy medium. But, Kurt could have done the happy medium and said a few things here and there and seen how Bergen reacted and then kind of gone off there.
Because then for future tasks, like what to do for your teammate and know when to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so all of you who are watching at home live right now, you leave your comments below, tweet us, let us know what you would want. Would you want your teammate to encourage you, or do you want them to be completely quiet? And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you just leave your comments below, because we want to keep the conversation going. Because
that was one of Allie's questions. Our huge fan on Twitter.
Yes, Tennessee and Hale.
Yes, she wanted to know, would you want your other teammate to be a little more vocal and encourage you a little bit more, or back off a little bit so you can have silence and focus?
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I'm checking Twitter for more questions from Allie, but we actually had one of our fans tweet us. If you were dating someone who looked so much like you, a.k.a. Kurt and Bergen, would you do PDA with them or nah?
Oh.
I think it'd be a little strange to do PDA because people might be like, oh, are they related?
Right. Like brother, sister,
That's a really
brothers?
funny question. That question came in from @Miss_Carm. Thank you, Cameron Michele, for the question. That's hysterical. I never even thought about that. So that's the roadblock. Everyone seemed to do pretty well at it. There were a few people that struggled, obviously. And when it got down to Haley and Libby, the only two people left at the roadblock, I was like, it's anyone's race at this point. I thought that CJ and Libby wouldn't really be able to catch up with the other teams. And once they got to the roadblock, I was like, ooh, this might take a little turn of events here. Because I thought CJ and Libby were out of it at that point.
Yeah, because Haley was struggling a little bit.
So moving forward, once the teams completed their roadblock and got the clue from the guards, they were given their next route info, which was to travel to Zenkoji, the city's largest Buddhist temple, where they would search the temple grounds for their next clue, which, lo and behold, turned out to be the blind detour. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
I love the blind detour because you don't really get as much of a description of what you're getting yourself into. You kind of only have a little bit to go off of.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on the blind detour?
So share or chair? Obviously, chair would have been a physical, it sounded like very physical detour.
Right.
And then share, my first thing was, a lot of the team said this, was food related. I probably would have done share, maybe just because I'm really good at sharing things. Honestly, that's like what I said. I was like, okay, chair or share. Well, I'm really good at sharing things, so I'll do share. And, ultimately, I would have wanted to choose share because eating noodles is no problem for me.
Right.
But the chair thing looked really cool and it looked fun. And especially the hats. The hats they had to put on were hilarious.
Yeah, those were cute. For share, part of the detour, teams had to make their way to Takisan Donabe restaurant and feed each other noodles while using chopsticks and sitting in front of a large fan. But the catch was they had to feed their teammate, not themselves.
Which ended up being hilarious.
Which is super hilarious with that fan blowing in the wind too. Then we have chair. Teams traveled to the M-Wave Olympic Arena, where one team member had to sit in a chair mounted on a sled while their teammate pushed them around a speed skating track. Once they completed one lap, they would switch places with their teammate and then do a combined lap of 3 minutes and 55 seconds for their next clue, which at first I was like, that seems so difficult because the actual rink itself looks huge.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, 3 minutes and 55 seconds and they're pushing their teammate on this chair. Yikes.
So which one would you have chosen?
I think just based on instinct, I probably would have gone with share too.
Yeah.
especially because I love noodles and I love eating. And yeah, I think I would have been really happy with the idea.
And you're a good sharer.
Yeah, why not? You know, especially when you're in a situation with a teammate you don't really know well. Sharing is caring.
Yes,
and it
sharing
brings
is
the
caring.
world together.
Oh my gosh. Hashtag cheesy.
Before we talk about the rest of the detour, I just want to encourage all of you to head over to iTunes, where you can rate, comment, and subscribe to our iTunes channel of AfterBuzz TV's The Amazing Race After Show. And if you are on YouTube watching this, press the little thumbs up button. Give us a like, because we love the positive feedback. Leave a comment below and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's because of people like you who are super fans of this show. It keeps us encouraged and excited to come back every season to recap the show and hear what you guys have to say and share our thoughts as well. So continue to keep the conversation going and rate, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, we love talking to all of the super fans out there of Amazing Race. The best show in the world.
Heck yes. As Phil said, for the share part of this detour, it's an awkward date. And I think if you were not in a situation with someone you had a pre-existing relationship with, it would be kind of an awkward first date.
It would have, yeah. Although some of them, like Laura, she had so much fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, her hair was blowing in her face, getting wrapped around in the noodles, but she was laughing. They were just having fun with it. You know, it was funny. I was impressed by how big of bites some of these people were taking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like Jenny, her mouth was full. Like she was slurping up those noodles like nobody's business.
She was ready to go at it with those noodles. Yeah.
Oh man. And Mike had a little bit of struggles. I think Rochelle put a little too many noodles and he actually had to spit them back out. That was pretty funny.
One of our viewers at Sunset Rusher X just tweeted us, the noodles should have been much harder. Like have the bowl be a little bit larger or more spicy, which would have made things a little bit more entertaining and interesting.
Yeah, I thought at first that the fan was going to be there because the noodles were like so hot that you literally like you couldn't have put it that many in your mouth at once.
Right.
So it would have been a battle of trying to fit the noodles in your mouth without burning your mouth and having to wait for them to cool off a little bit, or like maybe have your partner like blow on them.
Right.
Or something funny like that.
It would have been interesting if they were spicy noodles.
Yeah.
If they were spicy noodles and I had been doing that detour, it would have been not good.
Spicy foods and
I
me
don't do
just
spice.
don't really get along.
No. So we have Laura and Tyler, Jelani and Jenny, Bergen and Kurt, and Harley and Jonathan all doing this detour. And what I thought was interesting is that when Bergen and Kurt and Harley and Jonathan got their route info to go to one of the detour options, they both kind of decided together to go to one. Which it's kind of nice to have a team with you, so you kind of know you're at least with one team and you're not behind.
Right, so you just have to make sure you're there before that team.
Exactly. But it looked like Bergen and Kurt struggled a little bit because Kurt was not digging those noodles.
No way. He's like, I can't swallow anymore. He did not like the noodles whatsoever. And I felt bad because they literally were scraping the noodles like off that dirty table, putting them back in the bowl, and then refeeding them to him. Poor guy.
Yeah.
He was just not going to swallow. And Kurt, right? Bergen was the one having a little bit of trouble.
Kurt was having trouble.
Kurt
See, they look so much alike, you don't even get their names right.
Yeah. So, but I thought that Bergen could have been a little more encouraging.
Sure. That's true. But I think it maybe was a little bit of
prima donna.
No, because earlier Kurt wasn't encouraging Bergen, so it's like, if I'm not going to encourage you, I'm going to push you.
Yeah.
And I feel like pushing someone is a little form of encouragement, depending on how you look at it. And it wasn't like he was like yelling at him, but I mean, I probably would have been like Bergen in the sense, they are just noodles. It's not like you're eating, like if you've seen The Amazing Race in the past, they've had to eat some crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and it's just noodles.
Noodles of all things.
And no one else really complained that they tasted that bad. Everyone was actually really excited that it was food because they were all so hungry. So they obviously didn't taste that bad.
Right.
You know?
Not that bad. But, opposites do attract. So maybe this kind of budding opposites will spark a few things between Kurt and Bergen. It looked like Carly and Jonathan had a good time doing this detour. Jelani and Jenny, we hear that Jelani saying that, I really am into Jenny. She's competitive, confident, motivated, and you couldn't ask for more in a teammate. And I agree. That's someone I think if you're going to go into a race situation, you're going to want someone that's just like that, that's just going to go into a task full throttle and not complain. And Jenny seems to be that kind of girl.
Yeah.
And then Laura and Tyler, of course, like you said, Laura just enjoying the time of her life, Tyler making the most of it. So they're a positive team.
Yes, they are adorable.
On the flip side, with the chair detour, let's start with Mike and Rochelle, because this is the first time we've seen a team switch on the detour.
Yeah.
Mike and Rochelle started off doing the chair detour, but Mike just kept eating it. Just,
Poor guy. Especially towards when they were, I think it was like their third attempt. He was so close to crossing the finish line, and then he just ate it, and she actually hurt her wrist. Which, you know, to be honest, as a derby player, I thought she would have been a little bit tougher. And I was shocked that she fell, and it didn't really look that big of a fall, but you never know with editing. And she was like, I need a medic. I hurt my wrist.
Right.
And that startled me. I was like, whoa, is this really the derby player?
It was so anticlimactic.
Yeah.
For, I hurt my wrist, and then when she met with the medic, and the medic's like, can you do this? And she's like,
okay.
Yeah, let's switch detours.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, I don't know. I think they were so capable of doing it. They already done it twice, and they got closer the second time they did it, and it was just... They took a huge, huge risk. Because I've always, you know, in the past, as you know, Jess, I'm always so anti-switching detours. Because
you lose your momentum. Yeah.
But they took a risk, and it ended up paying off for them. Because once they got to the shared top part of this detour, it seemed like they had no
he was
problems.
Like, he's like, food challenges, that's right up our alley.
The other teams that participated in share were Jeff and Jackie, Allie and Steve, Matt and Ashley, and Haley and Blair. Jeff and Jackie, again, we talked about how they were a team going into the race. We weren't really sure if they'd do well with one another, but they were able to do it on like the second or third attempt in 3 minutes and 54 seconds.
1 second under.
Like, power to them.
Wow, yeah.
And Jackie kicked butt pushing Jeff around that rink.
Oh, yeah.
And she never complained.
I was just going to say, she never had complained. Great attitude the entire time. And another thing that was really cool was Allie and Jeff. Allie mentioned that this was the exact rink where she actually began her career.
Oh, yeah. She's like, I watched the Olympics, and I told my parents that one day I would be doing this speed skating.
Yeah.
And that, I think it was just like such a nostalgic feeling for her. And it's fun to kind of see. That's when you start to connect with the racers a little bit more. It takes you away from the competition. You're like, oh, wow, like that's such a cool little storyline to throw in there.
I think it's so cool. And they nailed it. 3 minutes and 31 seconds. First attempt, they got it.
I know Steve's like, I'm a bobsledder. I don't do this. But then Allie, when she got in there, like kicked butt.
Kicked butt. How would you have done in this detour?
I would have been laughing probably for the most part.
Me too.
Living in LA, we don't really have a lot of opportunities to go ice skating, but I grew up in Michigan, so I've been ice skating plenty of times, but I haven't been on the ice in a while. So it would have been interesting. It would have been funny, but I think I would have, after a while, been so tired of pushing my teammate. That would have been upsetting. I'd rather just sit on the chair and push me.
Well, okay, so coming from Canada, I can ice skate. I actually would have really loved this detour. Overall, I think that the chair detour would have been more fun.
Yeah.
I loved this chair detour. You know, I love the ice. I love skating. So I think it would have been fun. And once I already mentioned this, but those hats were priceless.
I would probably like stuff one in my pocket or my little
keep
fanny
it for
pack
later.
To keep it for like a little,
memorabilia.
Memorabilia. Then we have Mike and Rochelle, like I said, that switched, but Haley and Blair seem to struggle quite a bit at this portion of the detour. The first time they did it in like 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Bless their heart.
Blair was struggling.
Blair was struggling.
Haley
was struggling.
Haley was struggling pushing Blair.
Yeah. And, I thought it was cute that, eventually Blair ended up using his skates, too, to kind of give Haley a little bit more momentum in the stride.
Which, to be honest, I don't really think that actually helped a lot. But I think it's all mental, right? And so I think...
Mind over matter.
Yeah, I think that it just helped encourage Haley, like, oh, I'm totally helping you. Instead, she did it.
Absolutely. And then I think the best thing that they could have done is when Haley suggested, hey, let's switch. I'm going to go first, and then Blair, you go second.
Right.
Because Haley was able to do her thing and then sit and relax while Blair kind of took them home and just pushed through. So that was really smart because they did it right at the 3 minute and 55 second mark.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And so the other team that they were neck and neck with at the roadblock, Libby and CJ, did the opposite detour. So again, it's kind of up in the air. You don't know who is going to finish, how they're going to get to the pit stop first.
Right.
But Libby and CJ seem to be enjoying themselves at the noodle part of the detour.
And I just said that they were laughing the whole time, having fun, giggling.
Right. Actually, before we move on to the pit stop, I have a bonus clip that I found on the YouTube for The Amazing Race. And I also believe that Bergen and Kurt shared it on their Facebook pages as well. Check it out. It's them talking about the detour on the way to the pit stop. Here it is.
A couple times when he was feeding me, the chopsticks like hit my gums or hit my tooth or whatever. But got through it, thank God. And on to pit stop. We had to feed each other a bowl of noodles with chopsticks. Keep in mind there's a fan blowing, so
high speed.
It was not, high speed. It was not as easy as what you might think it was, America. It was not that easy. And I personally didn't think it tasted good. The noodles were cold. It made me want to like gag.
I really like them. I'm a noodle boy. I grew up on noodles and those were really tasty. I even had some onions. My mom would be proud of me. But yeah, I thought it was really tasty and I wanted more actually. That's why I asked the judge if I could eat the ones out of my bowl as well, but she said no. That was really good because I was super hungry. My breath stank though. The noodle challenge was definitely not the perfect first, second, third, or fourth date. Yeah, I didn't even think of that fan until we like picked up the first one and it was like whoosh, and all the sauce like hit my face.
It was just like, oh, like, and I was like, oh.
And then you bit through your lip.
Yeah.
Do you know how to chew?
At one point, it was making, you have to understand, it was making me gag. Like, I didn't want to swallow it. I didn't like it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. And if you guys want to check out more secret scenes that they don't show on the show, make sure you check out the Amazing Race YouTube channel because there's quite a bit. I'm gonna try to feature one clip every week to kind of go with what we're talking about. But Bergen and Kurt, thanks for the laugh. I thought that was hysterical.
I love that. He's a noodle boy. Now we know he's a noodle boy.
Hashtag noodle boy.
And he clearly doesn't like onions, but he ate onions and now his breath smells.
And I don't know if you noticed, we challenged Bergen in our first after show to make a GIF of him jumping into the ice cold water on the first obstacle course, and he did do it, and he sent it to us. Yes, he tweeted it to us. So I'm going to try to see if we can play that next week on the after show.
Oh,
that'll be like the theme for us. We actually have a question before we move forward from Sunset Restaurant, since we did just show a clip of Bergen and Kurt. I think that Bergen and Kurt not really agreeing at the noodle thing might foreshadow them not getting along in the future or getting into arguments. Do you guys think that's true?
I think, you know, obviously they are very opposite. And I think that it could, you know, I just think they need to motivate each other a little bit more, and that could help them get through those challenging detours that they are very opposite on. But so I think that motivation is key in communication. So if they could work on that, I think that they could do well.
Right.
But so far, you know, they're very opposite.
Yeah, but they're not, I don't see them like getting volatile either.
No.
They can move on pretty quickly. So it'll be interesting to see how they do, like we said. And then one last question from viewer Cameron Michelles again. She asked, if you can run the race, what type of personality or partner type would you choose to enjoy the race with or to win? I'll let you answer that first. If you ran the race, what type of partner personality type would you choose to either enjoy the race with or to win with?
I would choose, I actually have a person I would choose. I would choose my boyfriend because we work really well together and he's patient. I'm a little less patient, but we're a good balance. You know, he has skills that I definitely don't have and I have skills that he doesn't have. So I just think that the two of us would be great partners and we communicate really well and motivate each other.
Yeah.
And we're just two people that, you know, our goal is just to better each other. And so we would do anything on the race just to help that other person and to win the amazing race. And I think that that's the key, is that you want your partner and you need to work well together, communicate well together, motivate each other, and be able to put up with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, Chase would be great.
Yeah.
So, and he's been here before, so and I've seen you guys interact with one another, so I think you guys would do really well.
Maybe we'll audition.
Yes, you need to. I think if I was going to enjoy the race, I would totally do it with my mom. And like you've seen me and my mom's dynamic. She's a huge fan of the show and she loves to travel just as much as I do. So my mom and I would do really well and we would enjoy every second, even if we were the first out or the last person out.
Right.
If I were going to try to win, it would either be my sister, just because we've competed on the show together already. We know how to handle each other in high stress situations and with little sleep, little food. And she loves to travel too. And I think she's a pretty tough chick. It's so either her or my boyfriend.
Yeah. I actually would do it with my brother too, but I don't know, sometimes he's kind of a little bit of a prima donna, but he would be really good too.
We both make great TV.
Yeah, that would definitely make good TV.
Thanks for the questions, you guys. These are great. So keep tweeting them to us. We have about 5 or 10 minutes left of our show, so you can have a little bit more time to get them into us. So for the pit stop, they had to go to Patio Diamond. Yeah. Patio Diamond.
Sure.
First place, Jelani and Jenny. Woohoo!
That's your team.
That is my team. Second place, Laura and Tyler. Third place, Allie and Steve. Woo! Fourth place, Harley and Jonathan. Fifth place, Kurt and Bergen. Sixth place, Jeff and Jackie. Seventh place, Matt and Ashley. Eighth place, Mike and Rochelle. Ninth place, Haley and Blair. And last but not least, the team that got eliminated, who is a wild card for the Fantasy Amazing Race here at AfterBuzz, Libby and CJ. So we say goodbye to Team Tuskegee this week. I'm a little sad because I think that they would have been really entertaining how they continued forward.
I loved how much fun they were having on the show.
Absolutely. And would have been fun to know now. I mean, maybe we'll figure it out eventually now they're off the show. If she ever ended up getting her wedding ring. Hopefully we can get them to call in next week.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So a quick update on our fantasy points. We have Team Jessica. In episode 2, she got 10 points, which brings her up to a total of 17. Dun, dun, dun. And then we have Team Justin, who got 13 points in episode 2, which brings him up to a total of 19 points. And then here's Team James, my team, with 13 points from this episode, which brings me up to 21 points. So first place, Team James. Second place, Team Justin. And third place, Team Jessica.
I think you're cheating. How do you always do so well at these fantasy games?
Last week, last season, it was Justin. Justin dominated.
Oh,
so
don't worry. Team Jessica, everyone out there rooting for Team Jess, we're coming back.
And if you need a refresher on whose team to join, we have Team Jessica, and her team is consisting of Allie and Steve and Jeff and Jackie. Then we have Team Justin, who has Matt and Ashley, Tyler and Laura, Harley and Jonathan. And then Team James, Mike and Rochelle, Jenny and Jelani, Blair and Haley. Tweet us. Let us know what team you're on. Team James, Team Jessica, or Team Justin. And then we have the wild card who gives us points as well, Bergen and Kurt.
Right.
Yeah. So let's dive into predictions, shall we?
Predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, before we dive into predictions, I'm going to show another clip just to give us a refresher of what next week has in store. Here's another clip from The Amazing Race YouTube. It's a preview for Murphy's Law, Episode 3. Check it out.
CBS Friday.
Anything can happen.
The new Amazing Race is zipping along with 5 teams on the ultimate blind date.
Is there any romance in this race?
But we all know
Don't listen to me because what do I know?
how that can go. Will this challenge be a real drag?
I'm having so much fun.
And someone's getting engaged. Who will it be?
Wow. That was the shockiest shock of all shocks.
Don't miss a new Amazing Race, CBS Friday.
It looks like we're in store for a really awesome episode. What do you think is going to happen, Jess?
All right. So what am I predicting?
Yes, you're going to predict who's first and who's last.
All right. I think first is going to be Allie and Steve, my Olympians. And last, I'm going to say, Blair and Haley.
All right. And I'm going to say first place is Laura and Tyler. I'm going to switch it up a little bit because they seem to be doing pretty well. And then in last place, I hate to say it because they're on my team, but I'm going to say Mike and Rochelle. But you know what? If you watch the preview really closely, it looks like when Phil's asking them a question, it looks like there's 5 teams surrounded with each other. So I wonder if it's going to be like a neck and neck race to the pit stop. And who do you think is going to get engaged?
I know.
That's crazy to me.
Honestly, who?
I have no idea. I mean, I think the only team that would make sense to me would be Matt and Ashley.
Yeah.
Especially because the ring look like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
I would say Matt and Ashley. But
Now that I think about it, I'm okay. So because Blair and Haley were previewed in the sneak peek of next season or next episode, I'm actually gonna change my last place.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it Rochelle and Mike as well.
Yeah, because I feel like producers like to make you think it's one team when in reality it's going to be someone else.
Yeah, I think I'm going to switch it.
So great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's our after show for today, everyone.
Let us know who you guys think is going to be first and last. We love to hear what you guys think.
And who's getting engaged. That's what we really want to know. If anyone has inside scoop, comment and let us know because I'm dying to know.
I love all the twists.
Yes. Rate, comment, subscribe on our YouTube. Also leave comments below. Keep the conversation going. And if you want to keep the conversation going with us throughout the week and live when the episode airs on Friday, where can they find you, Jess?
You can find me at DressJessXO.
And you can find me at James Wallington on Twitter, at Mr. James Wally on Instagram, and on YouTube at Where's Wallington. And Justin, we missed you this week, but we'll all be back together in the studio next week. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.